Hi again. Thank you for joining. We're very happy to have you here. This is Zero Touch ITSM Resolution with Agentic AI. Once again, thank you for connecting. And I am Umberto Mattei. I'm a solution designer at Mindflow. I help our customers evaluate Mindflow as a technology, and I also help them implementing their Agentic AI roadmap. And I'm not here alone. I also have Ruben. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, nice to host you today with Umberto. I'm Ruben. I'm working at SIIT, working on the product side, and very happy to share our thoughts today with Umberto.
Thank you so much. So we will slowly get started as people are connecting. So maybe we'll take a look a bit at the agenda for today and a bit of the housekeeping rules, shall we? So we're going to talk a little bit about the trends we see when it comes to automation. We like to call it the automation iceberg. You know, what are the challenges we typically face? And then we wanted to focus more on a practical presentation about Mindflow and SIIT as companies and how they can actually help together. We'll then dive into a demo use case and we'll be taking some questions. We will be trying to reply to those questions right at the end, but of course you can ask them throughout. And Ruben and I will be taking turns over the webinar, so we'll keep an eye around on the chat. So I'd say let's get started. So as I said before, we see automation a little bit like an iceberg. So automation is not really a new topic. Many traditional products, they actually allow to do some form of automation. It can be opening a ticket, sending a notification, those kind of things, right? But in reality, what we really see if we look a bit deeper, it's just that that's just the tip of the iceberg. According to our experience and to what we discuss with our customers, real processes are usually a bit more complex, and they still require lots and lots of manual operations, like, for instance, troubleshooting some devices or enriching some ticket request with CMDB data, etc., etc. And they sometimes also demand some automation through a human in the loop. So that's exactly the type of challenges that we want to solve together with Mindflow and SIIT. Let's take a look at Mindflow first, and then we'll take a look at SIIT. So Mindflow itself is a platform for accelerating the implementation of automation and agentic AI at enterprise companies. We typically work with B2B companies that can also be quite large. And the idea is that we want to implement all of this at scale, but keeping a strict implementation of governance and security. How do we do that? So we do it through four main pillars. I would say the first and the most important of all is the connectivity part. So we have a very large catalog of integration that spans, I would say, up to 150,000 different operations today. What's interesting is that we developed a technology that allows us to quickly generate integrations for any application that exposes a REST API. It could be a public one. It could be an application that you developed yourself as well. And for those integrations, we actually cover 100% of the available API calls. The generation is quite quick. It's one of our SLAs as a product. We usually do it under 7 days. The second point is more related to how you interact with the product. So it's quite user-friendly UX. It's really like filling in surveys. You have some fields, you have some variables. So you just need to be aware of your process, a little bit about how the API works, and then you're good to go. The third point is, of course, AI. AI is something that we typically use either to actually help our builders build automations by interacting with the chat or by filling in some of those fields I just mentioned before through AI, but also to create a complex and powerful multi-agent system where you have, for instance, an orchestrator that orchestrates very specific and specialized agents, I would say, each of them having their own integration. Lastly, that's the part that really ties back to the governance and the security aspect of it, is our enterprise-grade features. So it could be things like auditability. Everything is auditable in the platform, what actions the agents have taken, and so on. The airbag functionalities that are, in a way, seen for the users, but also for the agents, because going back to the integrations I explained before, we can actually whitelist specific API calls for each agent. So we're really sure about what can be done and what cannot be done. And we'll be seeing this in practice just in a few minutes. And one thing that is also often appreciated by our customers is definitely how we handle the life cycle of automations and agents. Over here, we took some of the principles we see in code development. So we have the notion of environments, isolated containers for your credentials and your agents. And we can actually promote agents from a staging environment to production. And this will ensure, of course, not only security, but also reliability of operations. So I'll now hand it over to Ruben to take a look at SIIT.
Yes. So first of all, I want to introduce you what SIIT is, and then I'll go through a quick demo, as Umberto mentioned in the agenda. So what is SIIT? We are an AI service desk. We work mainly for IT teams, HR, and any internal operation team that want to execute business processes. The way we do it is that we simply gather all the information, all the requests coming from the employees, centralizing it into a single platform, and then allowing people to just reduce the volume of requests, improve efficiency in the way they manage internal operations. So currently we work with companies all over the world. We are Paris-based, but we have more than 200 clients all over the world. And so the product is built on a first layer. This first layer is a system of record. Basically, what we do is that we unify data in a system of record. This data comes from your integration. We have native integration with many different tools to synchronize people data, application data, equipment, etc., etc. Thanks to those applications, to those integrations, we collect those information at the employee level, and we just display it so you can either use it, consult it, or even do some automation with it. We'll go through this just right after. And as you may know, context is key for AI. So we basically built what AI needs to be deployed. And this is what we do too. We deploy agents so we can automate up to 60% of requests. Our clients automate just 60% of full request resolution. How do they do it? Well, they have the right information coming from their external sources, integrated in SIIT. They have the right action because we also integrate with many different tools where you can do some actions. They have the right capabilities, the right authorization, and everything centralized in a single tool where you can deploy agent and just fully automate some requests. Well, there are 40% of these requests remaining that are not fully automated. What do we do for them? We also developed a core service desk that allow you to keep human in the loop. Basically, this is a very simple, very neat service desk that have a very easy employee experience. I mentioned gathering requests from all sources. That's what we do, from Teams, from Slack with native integration. We allow you to build your service catalog really easy to deploy and really easy to be used natively by our agent. We'll see that right after. And obviously, you have key KPIs to track what your humans, your agents are doing on the platform with SLAs and policy. And right at the end of this loop, once you have built the right environment, the right automation, and the right service desk, you can just iterate, you can just measure and make sure you improve your performance. You can detect easily, directly from the platform, all the bottlenecks of your operations, and then take some insights from it and improve. So just to recap, we unify data, we allow AI to perform in this environment, we integrate with all your external providers with a core service desk to orchestrate everything, and we give you the data to improve. And what's even better is that if you integrate SIIT with Mindflow, you can even boost the performances of SIIT. This is what I want to show you in this next demo. So basically, the demo we're going to give you today is a simple flow from a suspicious message to an instant security verdict, an instant not resolution, but a verdict to give you everything you need. Basically, when you have a suspicious message, when you have a phishing suspicion, for example, the first pain is reporting and qualifying, getting the right data, being there right away, because you need to have the information, the correct information right away is key. Well, SIIT agent will show you how you can report and qualify the right information. SIIT also allows you to react and inform. This is the second step we're going to show you in the demo. You can react immediately, be hands-on immediately, and take all the measures that needs to be taken right away. Then going to escalate this to Mindflow, and then Umberto will show you how it works. But basically, it's always really hard for agent to evaluate the risk, to collect the information from all external tools, know if the threat is real, if it's urgent, if it's critical. This is what Mindflow is gonna do. Is gonna gather all the information, enrich from other past process, from other tickets, and investigate. Then, going through their AI agent, they'll be able to analyze and synthesize the results of those enrichment and send the verdict to SIIT, so that we can eventually put human in the loop and the security team is gonna act. Ready for the demo? Now I'm going to show you how it works. So step one, let's say I'm an employee and I suspect a phishing email that I received yesterday. What SIIT's going to do is SIIT agent will going to analyze this first message, getting all the context from the employee, and just answer here with an article. This is the article that has been published on SIIT that is recommended to the employee, giving you, the first thing not to do, don't click it, don't reply to the sender, etc. And then offering you to escalate the request and create a ticket. Here, I'm going to say, okay, I want to create a request. I received it yesterday, and I think that I was phishing. This is the URL. Here, what the agent is going to do is just qualify the request, so it collects all the information it needs to send to SIIT, to the security team, and to escalate to Mindflow. What you can see here is that a new request has been created right here. Sorry for that. A new request has been created right here with all the information, the phishing suspicion, the date it happened, and the URL. And if you get back to Slack, you can see that the user has been informed that as a precaution, we've revoked your active session and started a password reset. This is basically a workflow that is run from SIIT. Whenever someone says there is a security incident, the security incident is a phishing suspicion, then we'll be able to automatically react immediately, clear the user session, reset the password, and send a message to the person. Now I'm going to hand over to Umberto that's going to show you how it works on the Mindflow side, because this workflow ends up with an external request pushing the information to Mindflow, and that's where you're going to see the analysis.
Thank you so much. So we'll take it over from there. Thank you for the explanation, Ruben. It was all very clear. Over here, what we have is the automation that has been triggered on Mindflow's end. And this is how the product looks like. So you're going to have a workflow designer to your right. You're going to have a menu with all your integrations, environments, etc. On the left. And over here, what's interesting is already to go and take a look at the logs. So the automation has just been triggered thanks to the configuration that we have on SIIT. And this is what we actually passed over to Mindflow. Over here, we can see in a rather user-friendly way all the different parameters of the call that was made. And all of these are actually variables that can be tagged from anywhere else within the automation. Once we recovered this, we can get further details on the user who actually opened this request. Let's just do it in a slightly different way. This is the call that we're going to perform. We just use our data picker to actually tag one of those variables that we have over here. And within the logs, what we see, and that was launched, are all the details related to the user. So I see Ruben, I see everything about his state, his Slack user ID, etc., etc. Then once we start gathering all this information, what we want to do is really going on with the enrichment. We want to check for cyber threat intelligence indicators. And over here, we have our first agent, our AI task. We explain in a rather simple way within the user prompt how the task works, what it does. Once again, we can tag the results. For instance, I see over here with the previewer that this is the suspicious link that has been picked. This is the email address from the previous call. And we explain what the tools available are in order to do this security enrichment of this potential incident. And we explain the strategy. We say what it should be doing and the order of execution and the output format as well. Over here, we can connect the integrations, and we can connect them here under the panel that is called tools. What's interesting, as I said before, is that for each integration, we cover 100% of the API calls, but also we can really narrow down very specifically to which calls we will the agent will actually be able to perform. So I can have an agent that does only read-only operations, or that fetches just a specific value, for instance, from a specific API call. Then we can also, of course, add some sub-agents if we want, so we can have an orchestrator of multiple agents. We're going to see a couple of examples of that just in a few seconds. And going back to that governance and security aspect, what's interesting is that everything is fully auditable. So I can actually go into the logs and check the specific result. For instance, I can go and check the URL analysis result. And I have over here the address. I have some additional data, like, for instance, some potential malicious signals that are associated to the analysis. I see here from VirusTotal report some results. I can also actually see the justification. So the agent itself proposes why they think there could be an issue with this specific URL. not only we get to have a look at the output, but we also see all the actions that the agent actually has performed. Like, for instance, over here, IPinfo, for each of these actions, we see what's the request they carried out, what's the reply that they got. So it's really fully auditable and quite granular, I would say. The workflow designer actually allows you to mix agentic tasks with traditional deterministic tasks. And another smart way to enrich a request like this one, for instance, it could actually be by taking a look at the previous requests that have been raised in this specific domain. So if we use the specific tag that we have, for instance, let's say security incident or suspicious URL tag, we will get all the different tickets that we actually have for this specific type. And this will be able to help us actually draw some conclusions, some nuances. Maybe we will actually see multiple requests coming for a specific URL or for a specific user. And all of this data, what we do is really we actually fetch it to the security analyst agent. Over here, we have another agent that is actually tasked with evaluating the output of the analysis and actually determine if this is actually a urgent, let's say, incident or not. And in order to actually look at that, we have a series of rules and a series of triggers that we actually consider. And over here, if we look at the result, for instance, we'll see that this has been considered as urgent. We had some soft triggers that were matched. We have once again the virus total analysis, as we said before, abuse IPDB, etc., etc. But we also have a ticket enrichment summary that is a quite important part that will be then be sharing once again with the engineer thanks to SIIT. And the way we do that is over here, we actually set it into a private node. And this is the summary, as you can see in the previewer, that was created, and that will be of help to the actual user, the security engineer that will be picking up this specific incident, and that will be looking into how to solve it. Once we have run this analysis, we can set a specific condition, because what we typically do for a urgent incident is we want to page the security team. We want to reach out to them and make sure that they are aware and that they can treat the incident as soon as possible. So over here, what we typically do is we have a condition, and within this specific condition, we have a variable that has been set to urgent. If that's the case, we'll go ahead and reconfigure the priority of the incident on SIIT so that it will reflect the actual status of the incident. And then we will be paging that specific security engineer so that they will have a way to get back to SIIT as soon as they see the notification that will be looking like something like this. And once they click on this, they will actually be able to get back to it. I hand it over to you, Ruben, once again, so that we can take a look at the result. Yep. Is that okay?
Exactly. Yeah, perfectly. Yes, so as Umberto mentioned, the request is now qualified as urgent. The security now come back to the request, and the great thing is that even if this whole operation looks pretty complex, you have a lot of enrichment, you have a lot of analysis, everything is summarized and sent to the assignee, to the security team person that's going to handle this request. You have like an overview, an analysis overview of everything that you've seen, the top 5 highlights of what's maybe dangerous, the classification, why it's urgent, and everything related to recommendation, what needs to be done. So human is going back in the loop right here. He can act on the request. And as you know now, it reflects, it goes directly on Slack, so the employees knows everything that's going on. The admin can use this information. He can also use the information SIIT collects from external resources like the people information, and is now ready to completely solve the request.
Perfect. Thank you, Ruben. I will hand it over. I will take it over again if that's okay. Perfect. So we took a look at this demo, and the idea over here, besides from the practical insights, what it actually happens, what we wanted to be the takeaway is the fact that, first of all, there's time involved with this operations that we discussed and we demoed together with Ruben. Usually, someone would have to be sitting and juggling between different tools in order to copy-paste the results, to be able to figure out what the analysis result looks like, and then update a specific ticket, follow some procedures. So we estimate, at least for some of the customers we speak to, that some of these things might take up to 20 minutes, and they might have a fair amount of instances where they would have to do that. And this could be narrowed down to just a few seconds, I would say, as the analysis was actually taking place as we were speaking and presenting it to you. Then what's interesting and what's not always mentioned is also something else. It's the fact that usually, to our experience, also when we discuss this about our customer, with our customers and with Ruben as well, we noticed that everyone has their own way of managing incidents or managing tickets, right? Each team, they will have their way of working, their conclusion to a certain analysis. Procedures are not always applied the same way. So what's interesting is that over here we have a sort of standardized, repeatable process, which is also auditable. So we make sure that we have coherent and consistent result every time that we run it. And one example for that is making sure we avoid premature ticket escalations for issues that are maybe not that serious at the end of the day. And that's what's really challenging from a sort of like day-to-day standpoint for the customers we typically speak to. And lastly, these two technologies are, of course, better together, as we see SIIT as a smart front door for those incidents, and Mindflow as a sort of investigation engine, that can actually take one step further the type of analysis and the type of data that those engineers creating the ticket might have. So I'll go ahead and show a little bit maybe more of a couple of other use cases on this specific part. Basically, we have an additional one we discussed and that we saw with some customers. This is something that is more related to networking. What we call it is first look network diagnostics. Something that happens quite often when we have incidents is maybe you have a device that is not working on a specific site. There is that series of tasks, that series of steps that you do every single time in order to be able to figure out actually what's the status of the device, what's the health of this device, where the issue might be. And that's what actually helps you figure out if this is urgent and what is the path to resolution. Over here, we have an automation that actually retrieves the details of a specific incident that has been opened. It could be opened by a person, or it could actually be opened automatically based on some monitoring tool that actually signals some failures. And over here, we can have we can get further information through some tools like Dynatrace, and we can also get some site health and figure out an analysis of the compliance checks we have on tools like IP Fabric. And all of this data in the same sort of like similar approach that we saw before can be put together through an agent that actually aggregates it and figures out if this should be escalated, if there's a standard resolution that can be taken, so that we have really a consistent solution to the problem, and zero-touch either resolution or zero-touch enrichment, really, for time savings as well. We have also another example that we wanted to share with you. This one is more related to SecOps alerts that could be coming from something like a CM. Basically, over here, we might have an incident type, like, for instance, what we call typical in the industry, the impossible travel. We have, for instance, an account that connects from two very different places in a short amount of time. Over here, the idea is to be able to fetch this alert to trigger an orchestrator agent. This orchestrator agent will have some sub-agents that are handling different specific tasks. One could be something like a CTI expert, like the one that we saw just before, more in detail. But we might also have one that is a communicator that will communicate over chat to get approvals, for instance, one that will carry out analysis on how this account has been used, and of course, one to make sure that everything is tracked correctly in a ticketing system. And over here, we have, once again, either a very rich result that the engineer can find as a ticket, or we also have some potential automated resolution or automated escalation to the appropriate team that can actually manage this specific ticket. So this is more or less what we wanted to share. We also wanted to leave some time in case there are any questions and answers. But really, to sum it up before we open it up for questions and answer, in practice, we saw how automation is a bit like an iceberg, and some of the first things we do are just the tip, but we can go much, much further, actually, with Mindflow and SIIT, and how we tackle it, thanks to these two technologies. Thank you. So we'll go and take a look into the question in a second, but before that, I was just wondering if, Ruben, if there's any other comments or on your end, anything else you wanted to share in closing before we look into the questions.
No, we can go through the question. I think we have just a few minutes left and two questions to answer. So maybe you can just jump and answer the questions. Is that right for you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I think we have a first question on zero-touch resolution and how do we manage security permissions and guardrails to ensure that AI agents only perform the authorized actions. So maybe, Umberto, I'll let you start with this question.
Yes. So that's a very good question. And I would say a first element that is quite important, and everyone is discussing this, is guardrails. Actually, we're talking a lot about this. We typically can implement a specific layer where we filter what has been used, what has been asked to the agents, and this could actually do a quite nice job. We can implement it as part of a workflow. We can implement it as part of a sub-agent, at least on Mindflow. There are also other equivalent solutions, I would say, for SIIT as well. And the only thing is that if you look into AI security research, all the experts or these labs doing research, what they typically say is that it doesn't work all the time, unfortunately, because there are so many different inputs that you can feed to an agent that it's impossible to fully protect it from this type of attacks. And something that remains really the, let's say, old-fashioned last resort of security is securing the perimeter that you can access. So I'd go back to some of those practices, like the ones we shown in the demo. The most important one, I would say, the whitelisting of the API calls that an agent can perform. That's definitely very important, giving like the least minimum privilege to an agent, so that even in case something might go wrong, we still have a tight control over what the agent can do. And of course, there are all the other parts of the airbag and what the users can actually do on the specific platform. What about you, Ruben? How would you do you have anything you would like to add to this one?
Yeah, well, on our side, the way we see it is that we deal with agent a bit like with human, in a sense that I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, I mentioned that context was key for AI, while governance is also key for AI. And so the way we see agentic workflows, agentic resolutions today is giving a clear context and a clear scope to every agent allow you to just give them the authorized action, the authorized elements of context they can give. And that's key for us in the kind of security part of this resolution. And so the way we see it is, well, as I said, managing agents like people, giving them some authorization and access, and also give them clear instructions. I showed you at the beginning of this demo our triage agent which has only one task, that is deflecting and qualifying the request. The way we do it at SIIT is that we have other agents that can have a clear scope with predefined playbooks and clear action to perform. So I think overall, the more context, the more precise scope you give to AI agents, the better they are in terms of execution and security. And Umberto was mentioning a bit of a non-deterministic way to see AI. And obviously, it's not deterministic, but it's also like a great guardrails to define the scope.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ruben. I think that's quite good, complete answer, but don't hesitate to drop any other comments in the chat.
I think we have two other comments. One is about the level of adoption of AI in our IT teams. And the other one is how to avoid black box when we automate in ticket resolution. Maybe I can start briefly on those two questions. For the first one, at SIIT, I said 60% of requests are fully automated, but actually, I think it's 85 or even 90% of our clients are using AI, which is pretty large, and I think this is due to the thing that I was mentioning right before. Giving a clear and a simple scope to every AI agent allow you to deploy AI not at a very wide level. You can just deploy it step by step and make it well, easily to adapt. And about the question on the black box. Well, Umberto mentioned it, auditability is key. You can see that in Mindflow, there is auditability. SIIT is obviously done for auditability. You can also test some workflows and some playbooks and some execution. This is the way we see it. We make sure you can test it. You can iterate on it. You have the data to get the insight that allow you to improve the workflows, the playbooks, the instruction you give to agents. And then it's not a black box anymore because you have all the logs of all the execution. We try to, I mean, on SIIT side, I'm pretty sure it's the same on Mindflow. We try to give you all the steps that the AI agent went through so you can know what happened. And we can, well, there's still human in the loop. Even at SIIT, we have a great CS team that helps you, that has really great skills at implementing AI, and helps you again improve all those automations.
Thank you, Ruben. It's very great points. So you covered just a lot of it. I will try to add a couple of things. Everything you said is, I think, is. I agree completely. I would just add maybe a couple of points I had in mind while you were talking. The first one on the adoption, I'd say yes, on our end, also many of our customers are using AI. It's definitely, we're getting a lot of questions. We see a very big difference in terms of maturity level of usage. We have like everyone is using it, but some of them are just using it to test some small task, maybe just do some enrichment. Other ones are really trying to really maximize the use of AI and rethink how their processes actually work thanks to AI. And I would say that this ties a bit into the sort of like question about the black box as well. I think that what we have as a product is something that is auditable. And that's definitely helping. The fact that I know that I can go and check into the logs, see how the tasks behave within those workflows I create on Mindflow. I can actually take one of these agents, copy it, and run it against some test data to see how it will behave for different types of input, or run it again over this test data when I change something in the prompt to make sure that where we don't have any sort of like regression issues. However, what makes up for a good part of it, avoiding this black box effect, is the processes as well, right? So when we think about agentic transformation, we usually have to rethink our processes a little bit. We start seeing more and more the sort of like, let's say, role of someone that actually goes and puts a system in place and then make sure that it figures out the parameters to measure its performance, and to figure out how often are we going to do a performance check, how often are we going to be running tests on this multi-agent system. Is it nightly? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it each time we change the prompt? Like those kind of things actually help make it more concrete, I would say, on top of the already valuable part of the product, I would say.
Great. Thanks, Umberto, for those precision. I think it's time to close this this live demo. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It was a real pleasure to talk about Mindflow and SIIT and go through this demo. And feel free to stay in touch if you have any questions.
Sure. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Ruben, for your time.
Thank you, Umberto.
Thank you. Bye-bye.